Uh, we all know, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, I welcome you all back. I hope we are all okay. So everybody has already started to walk. Yeah, yeah, no problem. Please sit. I can give the introduction like that also. Yeah, I'm sure you must be tired standing by now, so you must sit down. Um, I welcome you all back to this very exciting conference that we are having. The second half is going to be all the more exciting, so we have saved the best for the last. We all know that e-commerce has almost doubled since past 2 years, but that's for the numbers and the companies making monies. But do we know how the growth of e-commerce in India has impacted the end users? After all, they are the one who ultimately make the industry thrive. To throw light on our next topic, the user experience in e-commerce, I had written here I would like to call up on stage, but I'm not going to modify it and say, now we already have on stage Sujata Balkrishnan, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a big round of applause to her. She has over 32, she's a managing director of Valtech. She has over 32 years of experience managing and growing strategic business units with focus on technology, digital services, and solutions with agility. She manages the engagement and relationship with both national and international brands, with focus on e-commerce, content portal, mobile and analytics, social media, technology-driven solutions, and services. Sujata's current passion is to enable Indian brands with state-of-art digital platforms to compete at global benchmarks, leveraging Valtech's global expertise in user experience, digital marketing, and technology solutions. Welcome, man. We also have with us Jaspreet Bindra, Chief Executive Officer, Get Info Media. Get Info Media. Have I pronounced it right? No? Okay, you have to correct me then. Thank you. Jaspreet has 20 years of varied experience across internet, telecom, FMCG, and retail though he considers the digital and e-commerce industry as his core area of interest and passion. He has been a part of the growth story of various MNCs, small and large startups, and large Indian companies. Jaspreet is a chemical engineer and an MBA in International Business from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi, and has been listed among the 25 leaders under 40 to watch out for a few years back by Business Today. He is the one, ladies and gentlemen. Please give him a big round of applause. We also have with us Bharat Devanathan, COO, Groupon India, APAC Emerging Markets, to give his introduction. Thank you for the applause. Bharat Devanathan is currently responsible for managing and growing the business of Groupon in India, as well as leading the company's product development and technology strategy. With over 12 years of extensive experience in technology management and operations, Bharat began his career at Groupon India in April 2011. During the past 1 year, he has also helped build and grow the business of the company in South India. Prior to joining Groupon India, he was the lead associate project manager with Booz & Company, where he completed a number of strategy consulting projects. That's him, ladies and gentlemen. Please give him a big round of applause. And the session will be moderated by Ravindra Krishnappa, member IAN and charter member TiE India Angel Network. He is an entrepreneur and an active angel investor with over a dozen startups in his portfolio. He is the lead investor and board member of Stezilla and Alma Mater. His first entrepreneurship journey was an ERP and business consulting company that was acquired by Oracle in 1996. He has been working to develop the entrepreneurial ecosystem, particularly in incubating ideas and working with early stage startups and their founders as a CEO coach. He is also on the board of a number of companies. He's also an active member at IAN and charter member with TiE. Welcome, sir. Can we have a big round of applause for all the gentlemen? And this is over to you now.
Before I start off, I'll just ask Karthik to do a quick introduction because I don't want him to feel left out.
Oh, yes.
And then I'll come back to the rest of you.
No, I had it on my other paper.
All right, okay.
Please give me the opportunity to do so.
All right.
Karthik, ladies and gentlemen, first we need to clap for him and a louder one. Please for me. Thank you. Karthik is the pan-India head of e-commerce operations at Gati Limited. He has a total of 11 and a half years of professional work experience across diverse industry sectors in the areas of project management, supply chain management, operations management, and procurement. Prior to joining Gati, Karthik was employed with Raymond Group, and he has worked on key strategic assignments and held key leadership opportunities. Karthik has pursued his post-graduation from IIM Ahmedabad, ladies and gentlemen, where he was able to multiply his learnings many a fold. Please give a big round of applause for all of them here. Thank you so much. The stage is all yours.
All right, thank you. So just to keep this very active, what I kind of discussed before is that we'll allow a lot of time for question and answer. Because that way, I think we are going to deliver more value to what you are looking for. Couple of quick show of hands, please, if you may. First, how many of you are on the business side of, or looking for help on the business side of user experience and eTailing? How many on the business side? All right. How many on the provider side, where you're actually providing some kind of a service? Any on the technology side? Okay, so that's a classification. Last, how many of you are pure users? You don't care what happens. You are just a user. Or how many of you have ever bought things out in the market out? All right. Great. So I think it's the last class that we are going to go after in terms of a user experience. It's fortunate in my mind because we have a couple of people here who I think are a good combination. One is we have somebody like Karthik who's come in with the logistics experience, both on delivery process of cash on delivery, reverse logistics, right? And hopefully he'll cover a few things for you. We also have pure technology background in terms of what are we doing vis-a-vis the European market with Sujata, and with Groupon, looking at the marketplace and the structure of what I think is a provider's provider, what is a B2B looking for, and Jaspreet obviously can chip in all the rest in terms of tying the technology together. So here's the format. We will just do a quick two-pointer that each one would like to talk about in the next, as part of the discussions. So the intention is that we will have a good discussion point that I would like you to imagine is that you're looking for some answer in that particular area. Hold on to the question, because very quickly, within the next 10 minutes, we'd like to get on to the question and answer process and steer it along the way, depending on what you have as your questions and queries. Is that a deal? All right? Okay, so let me start in the same sequence that, that she introduced. Sujata, your background is you've looked at 33 years of providing IT services, IT technology services. What do you think are the key changes that have taken place, and specifically related to India versus the European market in terms of maturity and expectations?
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for asking me this question. Primarily, if I were to answer, definitely India is becoming more and more matured market in the last few years. I would really see, even if at the age of 55, I'm able to go and really book a top online, you can just imagine things have changed drastically. So it's been a nice experience, but we are late, but we are always latest also. So while we are providing a lot of technology solution to our primarily all the international marketplace, I've been always asking a question, why India is not providing solution to our own countrymen. I think it is more or less, it's more the cultural aspect which is coming in your way to really look at how I can feel and see the quality of product before buying. So basically the trust factor in India really was missing in terms of whether we order the right thing without seeing it in person and without feeling it in person and have a touch. So shopping is an experience when you do it, when you really go into a brick and mortar store and you physically see it. I think things are changing for the better. At least if you really see the user experience being a very key factor to give the same feel of comfort if you were to go into a physical store vis-a-vis an online store. So when you talk about user experience, it's not just the aspect of design a screen to give a functionality as a flavor. First of all, you have to really see the simplicity in terms of the first-time user to feel what I'm supposed to do, how I navigate. Do I need to be an IT savvy to really use the whole application to buy online? In my opinion, it has to be a very simple and unique experience for them, whether they go to physical store or online store, to see how I can place an order. First, I have to really do a shopping and then really go in for book it and then do a payment. So if you were to see how user experience is playing a crucial role in this is that first you have to capture the audience attention or the end user attention to see what is that they are really looking for. What is the kind of persona you have when you really look at your brand, and what is your end user and what age group they are in, and how you can capture the attention and immediately what they look for and what are the things which are repeatedly ordered. So there are so many aspects, and in my opinion, user experience is a creative art where one has to really think through a lot, and you have to do a lot of market research and do some interviews and surveys to see how you can really bring in your brand emotion in the whole thing so that you can enable the user to come to your site often and then buy. Once you really get the feel of it, until the last mile, when you really get the delivery on in your doorstep, and if you're comfortable, then you will never really change your brand. You feel very comfortable because you start really enjoying rather than taking a cab or your car to 15 miles, to a commercial street or Garuda Mall to buy in the crowded place and then stand in the queue. I think online would be the deal going forward, including buying jewelry for a price of 1 or 2 lakhs. So that's what is the trend going to be sooner.
So let me take that off. So essentially what you're saying is from a common delivery perspective, put a ease of use and the convenience as the biggest factor, right? So Bharat, from a Groupon perspective, obviously you will look a lot of, you are also a service provider to service providers in some ways, right? Because you go in and look at people who are local businesses who have to deliver the same kind of user experience through you. That and in terms of what happens then in their expectation of the UI, in their expectation of going mobile, going to a smaller screen and trying to work through. How has that panned out?
Hello? Hello, everyone. Thanks for asking the question, Ravindra. So, from Groupon's perspective, just to answer your question on, what do vendors expect? I think vendors, when we go and pitch to vendors, they expect that they are discoverable, right? So we talk to so many people, and every one of them wants to be discoverable, to be easily accessed. A customer coming to Groupon should be able to find the merchant that we are pitching for. So that's sort of one challenge that the merchants face. How will I be discovered? So the question to then ask is, what is the easiest way, especially in mobile, to make the discovery happen, right? Now, one question you asked is, how is mobile changing things? Right. So one of the things I believe, especially in UI or UX, or however you'd like to call it, on the mobile, real estate is very, very limited, right? So how do you make use of that limited real estate to maximize the conversion of the guy who's come and visited your store? Now, one of the things that we are looking at, and a lot of other people are looking at, is making the UI very progressive and adaptive. So if one of you, for example, comes to Groupon or to any other site, let's say Site X, for the first time, he will have a sort of a hand-holding experience where you explain to him what things are and so on. A frequent user will have a different experience, a different UI, because he's done the same thing over and over again. So the elements that you use, let's say you have a label to say this is what you press this button to do X, right? You can remove that label for a frequent user and use that real estate to do something else that will help in conversions. So those are sort of the things that we're looking at when we're doing adaptive and progressive UI.
Right. So just coming back to you, carrying on the mobile piece, right? And then the reason I'm picking on that is an earlier conversation where Bharat said that they have seen upwards of today about 50% of your mobile traffic comes through the mobile side of it?
50% of global transactions are mobile.
Right, so that's a huge piece, right? That's a huge growth and possibly most of it in the last year, 18 months. So given that kind of a shift and given that India is has this ability to jump a generation of communication, right? Do you see that as something that's going to explode? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Sure. Before that, I'll just take 30 seconds of pronunciation correction time, if you may. Okay. So I represent a company. I had a company called Get It Infomedia, which is where we took two erstwhile Yellow Pages companies, Infomedia, which was Startup Press, Yellow Pages, and Get It, and merged them together, and are trying to kind of transform them into the digital world. So SME, a merchant discovery, SME discovery company, a local discovery company, but for the digital world, and primarily mobile. And so that's who I represent. And coming to where you are, in some sense we are fortunate because as we kind of reinvent or transform and therefore go away from a legacy, we have the advantage of, in some sense, of just starting everything afresh. And one of the things, which is actually a very startling statistic, and I repeat it at least 10 times a day, but every time I repeat it, I even get surprised myself, is that in India, 65% of people access the internet only through the mobile. Not also, only. The next country is China or Malaysia with 14%. Okay, so 65% only. And so, we've moved away, obviously, as we all know, from mobile also to mobile first. But what I rarely see happening is we move from mobile first to mobile only. And that has massive implications in terms of the UX, UI, coming back to this topic that we are talking of. I mean, if you see Uber, for example, as taxi booking, it's completely different from how you book taxis on the web. Forget about booking taxis on the phone. I mean, that's there and it's still used. But to me, the ideal UX and therefore UI from a mobile viewpoint actually is a site called Tinder. And those who know about it, all good for you. Those who don't, it's a dating cum hookup site, really. Okay, and again, if you see how it is different from Match.com or eHarmony.com, which were the big web dating, quote-unquote, dating sites. And you look at Tinder, and you open Tinder, and all that happens is photos keep on flashing of people around you, women around you / men around you. And you swipe left to reject them, and you swipe right to accept them or like them. And below that is how many of your friends also know those people, or that's it, simple. And so as we are trying to create a new discovery service, and we're going to call it Ask Me, we're going to launch it in a month, our company is going to be relaunched, company plug over. But Ask Me, when you will see it, you'll say that, look, these guys have done nothing. Okay, there's nothing on it. Where are all those features? Where is those bells and those whistles? But I think in the mobile world, and I'll kind of stop myself, I gave you these couple of examples, just one, I'll stop myself after one last example, which is, again, I don't want to raised hands here, but everyone will know Candy Crush, for example. Candy Crush is a game made for the phone, but it wasn't initially. And then the guy changed the UI and therefore the UX in the reverse order, where you could do all those, I don't play Candy Crush, but you could do all those little things with one hand rather than with two hands. And his game usage went up 52% in 2 weeks. So it's all about simplicity. It's all about the Tindering of websites, in a sense. Sure. And it's just a completely different paradigm.
Yeah, so going away from that kind of a offering perspective, Karthik, you're at the other extreme, right? Which is, when I say other extreme, you're at the other end, where it comes to roost in terms of a delivery process, a logistics, where somebody has to figure out whether it's a COD, whether there's any reverse logistics, the rejection points, etc. So what do you see are the two things that, that you are either excited about or that you would like to watch out for?
First one is the real-time information sharing that is expected out of a service provider, particularly logistics service provider. Now, once this hard work is all done, logistics is all about brick and mortar. Now, when I say brick and mortar, basically a customer is expecting delivery, or he has a specific request that it has to be delivered on a specific date. Now, first and foremost thing that becomes important, it is on-time delivery. That is the first service level that a customer wants. Second is what kind of experience that the customer is having when the actual delivery happens. Whether the delivery associate is right on track with the delivery, whether the interaction level was good, whether the associate was ready to cater to the customer needs of coming later in a day if that customer has had a request of doing so. So these are the typical issues that we have something known as slotted delivery. Slotted delivery is something where we can give customer the tentative time during which the delivery associate will go and deliver that particular consignment. This planned approach will also have an impact on the customer, and he can plan, the customer also can accept better service levels. This is what I would look at.
Yeah, so staying with you, because I just want to do a quick one. If there is a person, there are people out there who are either looking at it from a business perspective or from a service provider perspective. And your recommendation to them, say, watch out for this particular area. This is where a lot of people have been bitten in the back with, right? What kind of logistics issues are you going to ask them to watch out for as an audience?
One is assured delivery dates would be given, but that would not be met. That is one part of it.
So it's essentially a promise to deliver.
Promise to deliver which is not met.
Okay.
And second is in terms of the information sharing. The right kind of information is not given to the customer, and the customer is unaware of when the consignment is expected. And in terms of cash on delivery, a lot of times prepaid shipments are delivered, but still the delivery associate goes ahead and asks for cash on delivery. Now these are some things which need to be expected. To cater for this, we are providing electronic tabs to the delivery associates. So these electronic tabs are equipped with GPS tracking facility so that the delivery associates can be tracked, and the proof of delivery can be taken from the customer through digital signature, or the photograph of the invoice can be taken and uploaded into our enterprise management system. So this on-time, real-time information is passed on to both the client as well as the e-com service provider.
On the same vein, Bharat, what do you think are things that you would, in hindsight, you said, I wish I knew this, or I would have done it differently, or we would have approached a local service provider differently, or there was a requirement that I think we should have thought of earlier. What would those gotcha moments be?
So in terms of logistics specifically, right, there is, I think one thing we all underestimate is the magnanimity of the challenge. It is just to say, okay, I have 1,000 phones and I'm going to ship it and it's going to reach people on time is hard. You have to warn, for example, your logistics provider that you're going to have a big sale, so be prepared for it, so they have their fleet ready. You have to account for some losses. We've had cases, we've worked with a lot of providers and everyone's really great, but we've had a few, and I won't name them, where the associate, the delivery associate, asks for cash from the customer, but it doesn't show up on our bank, right? So these are issues that at a street level are tremendously difficult to solve. And so I have huge respect for companies that do it, but if you're an e-commerce business and running, and you want to ship thousands of products across the country, especially to pin codes that not the big guys, Blue Dart and these guys don't ship there, you have to be wary of these challenges. One is making sure your provider is prepared. I know one example where one e-commerce site could not ship on time because all the flights to move from city A to city B, the cargo was booked, right? So I mean, at that level, what can you do, right? You can't, and this was Diwali or something like that. So what can you do to really plan for that? So it's a huge challenge that way.
in terms of preparedness, Sujata, from a maturity of the technology providers and services, are we at the leading edge? Are we catching up compared to? I know you mentioned you have clients like L'Oreal, Chanel, and others, right? So are we catching up? Are we leading them? Are we kind of going the kangaroo style of jumping across? What do you think is happening on the technology?
So when you look at the technology challenges, as a consulting arm, we really just give them what is doable, what is not doable, what is achievable. Of course, everything comes with a price. So most of the time, if you really look at open platform to really help you on this, definitely you cannot achieve everything. So from that aspect, I would say that it is a mix and match. And the customer side, the business side, they have to really do a lot of activity around brand emotion and what is expected out of the brand and how they really want to deliver. So from that aspect, if they are very, very, typically very brand conscious and they really want to see the target group achieves the best out of the user experience, then it is very, very important for them to really go in for a high-end price product when they are top Fortune 100 or 200 company. Especially when they are into luxury retail, there is no compromise on the quality of user experience because they are depicting the brand and the brand emotion. So I would really say that definitely we are leading in those areas, and we're also giving them advice what would happen if they tend to use this technology. And also we will see that how we can simplify the functionality and make it very, very simple for them to use without cluttering the whole thing and then put them through heavy functionality as much as possible. So we would really reduce maybe how we can do progressively certain enhancement, which is also possible through the technology. And maybe every quarter or every 6 months you do a release, which would help them without upsetting the audience in terms of usage.
Correct. Jaspreet, your mention about going after the minimalistic piece in some ways of saying that, look, you do a single purpose piece, don't worry about how you did business historically, right? Almost you're egging people to say, reimagine a future that's on the equivalent of a special purpose, single use mode, right? Is that my understanding, or are we?
No.
Okay.
So if I may, though that's certainly one interpretation of it. More than minimalism, it is context. So let's think of shopping, since it's e-tailing, etc., etc. Now, if you want to buy, so let me give you two quick examples. First of all, if you want to buy a pair of shoes, when you go online on the web, you want maximum choice. You want 400 stores, that's where marketplaces happen. You want 17,000 models, whatever. When you're on the phone, you don't want that. You are on in Malleshwaram, okay, on a particular 80 feet road or whichever feet road is there. You want to know where are shoes around you. Right. Okay, and so therefore you want these 4 stores or 7 stores which sell shoes within 500 meters of you. So you're not minimalizing the context in that sense. You're not minimalizing, you're contextualizing. That's one part of it. Second thing, and I think this is, think of it as between websites and apps. You want to buy a sofa, okay, and so on the web you will go to a Quicker or an OLX to find out people selling sofas. But you also want merchant selling sofas, you'll go to Just Dial or Ask. You also want deals on sofas, so you might go to Groupon. You want to buy sofas online. Okay, you'll go to Pepperfry or one of those. But then by the time you've gone to Groupon, you've forgotten what happened at Quicker. Right. Okay, because in the mobile, unlike the PC, you can't copy paste the merchants you have decided, etc. So here, if you go to a web app and then go to another app and then go to a third app and then go to a fourth app and then go to a fifth app, I think the time is coming when simplification among apps itself. And you look at it from here, so you have an app which you can do all the 5 things at the same time within that same app experience. So it's more about contextualizing on the phone rather than about minimalizing.
So a quick round, I think because we're running 5 minutes to get to the Q&A, but quick round. If you were to, and we'll go just one cycle, if you were to ask somebody to prioritize, what would the first priority from your context be, in the sense that you're going and saying, watch out for this is priority 1?
I would create an app before I create a website.
Okay, so that's your first thing to do. What about you, Sujata?
I would really put a very simple one, have the friends and family as a circle to see what they really perceive based on my simple user experience design. If it goes well, then I'll go deeper into technology to implement the solution.
Okay, so create a small user group, test about the process. And then you?
It's about real-time information sharing for both the e-com service provider as well as the client.
How do you, so you would go and test out whether you have the capability to provide?
Absolutely, you need to have the API as well as for the customer, you need to give timely information when your deliveries and who's going to come, all those complete information.
Okay, and you, Bharat, what do you think would be the top priority piece?
So I agree with Jasprit on being mobile only. So I would get rid of the email address and use only the phone number. That's number one. Second, I would prioritize features on user delight and not on revenue.
That's a, yeah. So, okay, so you kind of, I think, got a feel for what it is. Can we take a few questions? Because that way we can roll this through. Yes, already
the gentleman at the back, yeah. Can we have the mic for him, please?
So when you get the mic, just say, I mean, other than name, it'll be good if you say what's the context of the question. Are you a provider? Are you a user? Are you a business?
Hi, I am Jaideep Kubawat from Smart Kharidar, and we are a startup getting into the groceries.
You'll have to speak up, Jaideep.
We are a startup into groceries.
Okay.
Okay. My question to Mr. Bindra is that when you were talking about multiple different applications, people were going for, say, if I want to have a sofa set, I go for Pepperfry or Quicker or something different applications. Do you see that is there a consolidation coming up for these service providers?
I mean, we are seeing consolidation of service providers around us, in fact, happening, especially in this city. But I don't see that to be the answer. Okay, that's not the answer to that. I see, actually, funnily, I see less apps rather than more apps. Okay, in the sense that, you know, like we had 1 trillion websites, and then apps came to simplify the internet. I also see something coming to simplify apps. So looking at it from a user viewpoint, and saying that how can the user complete his entire experience, breadth as well as the depth of experience, in a single app or a location, rather than trying to jump from app to app to app. And so more integrated apps coming in, rather than there's an app for that kind of thing, which has been there so far, that there's an app for everything. Consolidation is more of a business thing. It's more of a investor-driven activity rather than what I'm talking of.
Yeah, so I can share one thing is that there is an application called Makhi Choose, which actually goes on to and checks for particular product on different websites like Flipkart, Snapdeal, Amazon, whatever. And it identifies that which one is the lowest at the pricing.
Those are price comparisons,
yeah,
and there are...
Yeah, so I think the context of what he's explaining, if I may, is that that's more an aggregation of data, right? And I think that is going to happen. It's a bit of time, but then there is an even more fundamental context that I see, and you need to look at it, is coming back to the piece that there is only so much logo space available on a mobile, right? And then that logo space is what is going to be at a premium. So if you look at an aggregator, there's only so much of aggregation space that I can go in. And is it, I mean, do you agree? That's yeah? All right. So any other question? Any other question? I hope that answers. Yes.
Quite a few. Okay.
Hi.
We'll come back to you, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. I'm Soumitra. I represent Klevu. We are a Finland-based startup company. We are into basically in-store search experience for e-commerce stores. So my question is, two of you agree that I would always go for an app rather than a website. So, but as you rightly said in your previous comment, that there is always a limited space for logos in your mobile. There's always a limitation on number of apps I'll keep on my mobile. So, and with the consolidation, the type of consolidation happening, and the price comparison, etc., lot of consolidated and aggregated services coming into place. So till what point do we have to do the clutter breaking? I mean, what's the solution for this? how do we decide that should we keep a right balance that we should be present on website as well as app, or how do we decide on this basically?
So is this directed to a particular person, or should I just
In
pass
general.
it around?
In general.
Yeah, so let me take a stab and then I'll pass through. Yeah, it's an interesting piece because in some ways, I don't know if it's going to go away. In my own opinion and as personal opinion is that you'll always see some certain channels continue as a sales channel and a purpose, right? Just because you have you have a particular channel, the high streets are not going to go away. But what the high street shop may do is use the channel to project a different brand image, right? And I think that's a distinction that we may have to drive as we go through. And where are you going to create your brand, and where are you going to make it available? How would you want to do that? So while Puma may have its products sold at multiple places, at some stage they need to go and figure out where the brand image is going to get built. I mean, is that yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, I just want to add, in fact, one of our customer from German car manufacturing, they really want us to have the in-store experience similar to online channel. You won't believe that we really gave it because they want to see it what we have seen it in web. As he said that mobile is not everything, but you may have to really use moderately what is on web as well as mobile because of the space constraint. But still, you can really do it if you have more time to do the comparison on competitive product and see what could be the best solution for you. But most of the time, one click is a solution for you to use in mobile if you really want to quickly do anything, in my opinion.
Bharat,
That's what it is.
You had
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. So just to answer your question on, the real estate is limited and how do you break the clutter, right? So there's one example I'd like to take about, the point I'm trying to make is that the user experience itself is a moving target. It's not something that's decided on day one. So as an example, we all use taxi apps. We use Uber, we use, Taxi for Shorola. Do we use, right? We're all familiar with this, right? Now, 2 years ago when those apps came out, it was very cool to see, it shows you a map, it shows you where you are, it shows you taxis where you are. It's still cool, right? But if I'm a power user and I see that, now the last thing I want to know is where I am because I already know where I am, right? If I open the app and the app shows me where I am, I'm outside Taj, that's new, not very, very informative to me because I already know that. But 2 years ago, that was a cool technology, cool feature, maps, location-based services, and so on and so forth. And today, what I really want to know when I open the app is how much time will the nearest cab take to get here. That today is displayed in very small font, and the map is very big, right? But for an experienced user, the only question I want an answer to is how far or how quick is the cab going to come. That needs to be sort of evolved with every user experience.
I think we had somebody had raised a question. We'll
Okay.
take the last one and then somebody here. You had a question?
Can you identify the person? Okay.
Yeah, so this is the last question and then we will.
Yes, it is.
Let's keep it brief. I want to come back to schedule.
So my question is mainly directed to Bharat. Bharat, my name is Maulik. I'm funding a couple of e-commerce startups which are about to come out. As far as user experience goes, and in a setup like yours in Groupon, I imagine there is a lot of real-world user experience that you don't have control over. We've spoken a lot about the interface and web, mobile, etc. But once the product has been purchased and the customer receiving it, there's a lot of user experience still to be taken care of. How are you keeping a tab on this, and where do you see this improving?
Okay.
Post-purchase is what you mean, right?
Post-purchase, delivery, so physical interaction, real world.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I'll just take an example. Let's say I've purchased a voucher for a restaurant and I land up at the restaurant. So you're asking about when I land at that restaurant, what my experience is, right? And to be honest, when we started this business 2-3 years ago, it was a very difficult to explain to the merchant, how to handle these customers. Why are these customers coming with a particular voucher on their phone, and how are they different from the normal customers? But what we have seen is, one, it's the reinforcement of that education that these customers are coming because they've already expressed an interest in your restaurant. And so it's in your interest to make sure that you give them everything they want so then they can become a repeat customer, or that you can upsell to them when they are actually there, right? So that's one part of that. The second is we provide a lot of tools for merchants to see how many customers came in, how far away are they from your zip code. So if I'm in MG Road, do customers come to me from, Koromangala? Do they come to me from Indiranagar or or from Whitefield? So it gives, so these sort of tools which come to them for free, give them sort of a sense of why these customers are more important than, or how to handle these customers, and make sure that you can utilize that visit to drive up your business next time.
Right, I think, great, we're run out of time. So I think I'm sure you have quite a few takeaways from that. In my mind, exciting times. I'm sure all of you are here because it's exciting times. There is a great equalizer that is just in some ways have happened, and that's your time to market, right? So the fact that you are now going in and everybody, whether it was a Chanel who had a brand and working through, or whether it is the dating site that who is just coming in round the block, who can go and create a new brand and a structure, I think those are the ones that you should watch out for, because that time has completely crunched down, right? In terms of your time to competition and time to market, and that's something that I'd like you to keep your minds on, all right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.